Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Lesson number 10, A Mild Attack of Locusts, written by Doris Lessing, read by Muhammad Afzal for first year students. Look, look, there they are. Out ran Margaret to join them, looking at the hills. Out came the servants from the kitchen. They all stood and gazed. Over the rocky levels of mountains was a streak of rust-colored air. Locusts. There they came. At once Richard shouted at the cook-boy. Old Stephen yelled at the houseboy. Old plowshare, hanging from a tree branch, which was used to summon laborers at the moments of crisis. The houseboy ran off to the store to collect tin cans, any old bit of metal. The farm was ringing with the clamor of the gong, and they could see the laborers come pouring out of the compound, pointing at the hills and shouting excitedly. Soon they had all come up to the house, and Richard and old Stephen were giving them orders. Hurry, hurry, hurry. And off they ran again, the two white men with them, and in a few minutes Margaret could see the smoke of fires burning from all around the farmlands. Piles of wood and grass had been prepared there. There were 7 patches of bared soil, yellow color and pink, where the new mallees were just showing, making a film of bright green, and around each drifted up thick clouds of smoke. They were throwing wet leaves onto the fires now to make it acrid and black. Margaret was watching the hills. Now there was a long, low cloud advancing, rust color still, swelling forward and out as she looked. The telephone was ringing. Neighbors, quick, quick, there come the Locusts. Old Smith had had his crop eaten to the ground. Quick, get your fire started. For of course, while every farmer hoped the Locusts would overlook his farm and go on to the next, it was only fair to warn each other. One must play fair. Everywhere, 50 miles over the countryside, the smoke was rising from myriads of fires. Margaret answered the telephone calls, and between the calls she stood watching the Locusts. The air was darkening, a strange darkness, for the sun was blazing. It was like the darkness of a welded fire when the air gets thick with smoke. The sunlight comes down distorted, a thick, hot orange. Oppressive it was too, with the heaviness of a storm. The Locusts were coming fast. Now half the sky was darkened. Behind the reddish veils in front, which were the advance guards of the swarm, the main swarm showed in dense black clouds, reaching almost to the sun itself. Margaret was wondering what she could do to help. She didn't know. Then up came old Stephen from the land. We are finished. Margaret finished. Those beggars can eat every leaf and blade of the farm in half an hour, and it is only early afternoon. If we can make enough smoke, make enough noise till the sun goes down, they'll settle somewhere else perhaps, and then get the kettle going. It's thirsty work, this. Looking at Looking out, all the trees were square and still, clotted with insects, their boughs weighed to the ground. The earth seemed to be moving, locusts crawling everywhere. She could not see the lands at all, so thick was the swarm. Toward the mountain, it was like looking into driving rain. Even as she watched, the sun was blotted out with a fresh onrush of them. It was a half night, a perverted blackness. Then came a sharp crack from the bush. A branch had snapped off. Then another. A tree down the slope leaned over and settled heavily to the ground. Through the hail of insects, a man came running. All the crops finished. Nothing left, he said. But the gongs were still beating, the men still shouting, and Margaret asked, "Why do you go on with it then? The main swarm isn't settling, they are heavy with eggs. They are looking for a place to settle and lay. If we can stop the main body settling on our farms, that's everything. If they get a chance to lay their eggs, we are going to have everything eaten flat with hoppers later on." He picked a stray locust off his shirt and split down with his thumbnail. It was clotted inside with eggs. Imagine that multiplied by millions. You ever seen a hopper swarm on the march? Well, you are lucky. Is it very bad? Asked Margaret fearfully. And the old man said emphatically, "We are finished. The swarm may pass over, but once they have started, they will be coming down from the north now, one after another. And then there are the hoppers. It might go on for 2 or 3 years." "For the Lord's sake," said Margaret angrily, still half crying, What's what's here is bad enough, isn't it?" For although the evening air was no longer black and thick, but a clear blue with a pattern of insects whizzing this way and that across it, everything else, trees, buildings, bushes, earth, was gone under the moving brown masses. But Margaret preferred not even to think of them. After the midday meal, the men went off to the lands. Everything was to be replanted. With a bit of luck, another swarm wouldn't come traveling down just this way. But they hoped it would rain very soon to spring some new grass, because the cattle would die otherwise. There was not a blade of grass left on the farm. As for Margaret, she was trying to get used to the idea of 3 or 4 years of locusts. Locusts were going to be like bad weather, from now on always imminent. She felt like a survivor after war. If this devastated and mangled countryside was not a ruin, well, what then was ruin? But the men ate their supper with good appetite. "It could have been worse," was what they said. It could be much worse. End of A Mild Attack of Locusts, read by Muhammad Afzal for first year students. Chapter 11, I Have a Dream, written by Martin Luther King, read by Muhammad Afzal for first year students. I'm not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells. Some of you have come from the areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let's not wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friends, that in spite of the difficulties and frustrations of the moment, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meanings of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a desert state sweltering with heat of injustice and oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day the state of Alabama, whose governor's lips are presently dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, will be transformed into a situation where little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls and walk together as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our faith. This is the faith with which I return to the south. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discord of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all of us will be able to sing with a new meaning. My country tastes of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountain side, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous peaks of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from stone mountains of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountains of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. When we let freedom ring, we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city. We will be able to speed up that day when all of us, black men and white men, will be able to join hands and sit and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.